So I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty happy that Flava Flav was mentioned in today's program. Listen, it's great to see y'all. A lot of familiar faces here, a lot of new faces here. But I'm also really excited to have these four: Faith, Tracy, Allison, Rianne. How are y'all? Thanks for pulling up.
Good.
So y'all, I was sitting at home last night having a tea, and I cut on Jerry Maguire for inspiration. And for those who haven't seen the movie, there's a famous scene where Jerry Maguire, the agent, Tom Cruise's character, is speaking into the phone to his client, Rod Tidwell. And he says, "Rod, what can I do for you? Tell me, Rod, what can I do for you?" And Rod famously says back, "Show me the money." You know, that movie's 30 years old, and the landscape has changed so much since then, but I still think it gives you a little glimpse of the client-athlete relationship, and I'm happy to have these four here because they live it every day and know the ins and outs of it. So we don't have a lot of time, but let's dive into it a bit. I think that you four operate and manage star athletes across a range of sports in a pivotal time where momentum is soaring across women's sports. How have you all been able to just capitalize on this moment? Faith?
Um, how could you not? You know what I mean? Like, how blessed are we to be in this space right now? I think is the biggest thing. And obviously seeing the visibility and the investment and the love for the game, speaking specifically to basketball, but I would love to hear what Rianne says about the Olympics perspective. But it's special to be part of, and it's special to represent, and it's special to advocate for. And I'm very excited to see where it's going. I think we all can speak on, we've been here, whether experiencing it as athletes to being in the business for a long period of time. So it's like I said, it's a blessing to be here, but it's got a pretty high ceiling. It's not stopping.
I think too, obviously we're all women agents up here too, representing women, and I think that gives us a bit of an extra grit. Like we've had to experience just navigating the sports industry as women, which is obviously very male dominated. So I think this time of women kind of having their moment to shine, we have a whole lot of drive and passion behind us because a win for our women athletes is a win for us, is a win for women everywhere.
I like to say rising tides lift all boats, and ultimately, as the business has grown, opportunities uplift everybody, basically.
I mean, I think they've all covered it, but I also think to what Faith said is like we're just getting started. And I think that's what's really exciting. And I think just as we continue to see people, more eyeballs, more brands wanting to invest, it gives us the opportunity to help grow that pie. And that's why we're here.
And I think it's interesting that you all are representing your athletes, not from a massive, Wasserman or a WME. What do you think about the benefits of being at a boutique or a smaller independent agency that's been helpful for you?
I can kick this off. I think it's all alignment and incentives. And for me, I mean, I started my own agency, Disrupt the Game, 13 years ago, and I have an amazing team that works with me and alongside of me to represent our clients. But when we recruit or we're pitching new clients or even our existing clients, we always tell them that when you win, we win, and no one's funding this but the opportunities that our clients ultimately get, and that's how we make money. So alignment is 100% there.
Yeah, and it really supports quality of service. You know what I mean? Like, we genuinely care because, like you said, if you win, we win. But it's also like there's a whole lot of work that goes into a smaller boutique style level of service. So to see the reward is just that much more rewarding to ourselves, I think.
Yeah, and I think, Always Alpha is launched October 8th of last year. So we're coming up on 1 year. And this company was founded with Allison Felix's career and platform as the blueprint. And so being able to even learn from what she experienced as an athlete and now what she's doing as a legacy play, we're able to scale and expand with the next generation. And so that's super exciting for us. We want to be intentional, we want to grow with the right people, and we want to be able to build multi-dimensional businesses around these women. And so knowing that Allison Felix and her brother were able to do that as she was competing and now pour that back into the moment we're at right now is really exciting.
And I'm kind of the hybrid one up here of not fully boutique, but not fully huge agency. But I've experienced, the range of it all. I mean, now I'm at Range Sports, so pun intended.
No pun intended.
But I started at CAA, then SIG, where I met Faith, and now at Range Sports. And I think we have the boutique feel of having an amazing, close relationship with our clients. Well, also, we have kind of the Hollywood of it all, of having a major management agency behind us. And specifically for women representation, it's an amazing thing because women athletes have rarely had access to those kinds of resources and other entertainment agents at their fingertips. And Range Sports is really the first agency, part of that Hollywood landscape, that has started a women's sports division. So that's the amazing thing. I have the very close relationship with my clients, but then I can go next door and get them if they want to get into TV or books or whatever it is. It's amazing to be able to provide our women those resources.
I think it's interesting the landscape just shifting because I think at one point we talked so much about on-court or on-field representation, right? The contract work, and it seems like things have really shifted. I'm just curious y'all's thoughts on how much that's just a smaller portion of it all, right? And taking that holistic approach and
Like it's shifted in terms of marketing being more of a
right.
Well, I think in the history of at least me being in the business for the last 13 years, women have always made more money either overseas or endorsements or broadcast or whatever it is that's not, at least in the WNBA, the actual playing of their sport on court in the WNBA. And so our hope, I think, going into 2026 in this new CBA, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this ad nauseum already today, but our hope is that the women will start making a bulk of their income on court, which would be amazing. But I do think that endorsements are still going to be a major driver for these athletes.
Are you guys seeing that the same at?
Yeah, at SIG, I mean, I started in marketing, and now I'm kind of towing the line a little bit with the head of our market department as well as representing Encore as the past 2 years. Women are just more versatile. There's many layers to them, right? There's beauty, there's hair, there's education, there's long-term impact in terms of the things they get into. It's just different than men, you know what I mean? And so I think that's another thing is what's always drove that endorsement-led process is because women are layered in many different categories. And so I kind of hope, like obviously we want Encore to grow, but I want that marketing drive to continue because like women bring more to the table, respectfully, in categories than men do, and it's exciting to be part of.
Yeah, what categories have you been seeing open up on your end at Alpha?
I mean, we are, in addition to building strategies around what's authentic to our athletes, it's also leaning into those brands that want to be spending around women. And I think for a long time, it's just been, this model that fits male athletes because we know that 70% plus of their income comes from their playing contracts, where women it's 80 to 90% come from off court. So even switching up that model, it's like you can't just fit them into this formula that has always worked for men and now you're saying you're servicing women. So we get to be super intentional about how we're approaching brands and pitching our clients. We want to build meaningful partnerships that's not just beneficial for them, but beneficial for our women so that, as we're building out their strategy, it's long, fruitful relationships. So that's how we approach it.
I can give 2 quick examples.
Yeah, no,
if
please do.
If that's cool. So Coach did a big partnership with the WNBA and then signed 5 of the top rookies, of which 2 I'm fortunate to represent, and Anissa Morrow and Kiki Ariafen. And so not only did they put them front and center in a linear commercial and really tell their stories along the way, but they even, Kiki and Anissa, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but they were like front row at their Fashion Week event, which is amazing. And those are the types of things that, help power our clients into stars and superstars. And that's ultimately what at least we look for in partnerships with brands is like money is one thing, but the companies that can actually put marketing behind our clients and help them uplift alongside of us and be teammates are really the best partnerships. And another random one is Kotex just did a partnership with one of our clients, Kelsey Mitchell, through her playoffs 2 nights ago, I think. And it's not the sexiest partnership in the world, but it works. And to celebrate with Kelsey as she's playing in the playoffs and helping, lead the Indiana Fever is pretty dope.
I think the other thing that's expanding for women are entertainment opportunities. I think you guys can, from the athletes you follow on social, I think it's fair to say the women tend to maybe show a little more personality. And I think that's because they haven't made the bulk of their money on the court or on the field, so they have had nothing to lose aside from putting it out there. And now we see, from athletes calling the Olympic Village the Love Island Olympic Villa and things like that. There's so much expanding in the entertainment space for women because they have put it all out there, kind of because they've had to.
All of us in this room, not just these four, but all of us have relationships, right? Whether personal, deep relationships, right? Spouses, partners, friends, family. And we have our professional, right? Colleagues, business partners. But I think we all can agree that trust is at the foundation of all those, right? And without trust, it's not much of a relationship, right? So, and especially in a professional sense with you four, when you're shaping their visibility and public identity and their finances, how do you guys just establish that trust? It doesn't seem like something that you could be building overnight.
You want to get, or
Sure. I think it was interesting. When I started at CAA, it was in NBA representation side of things, and I felt like the recruiting side there was, for men, it tends to be a little more of a showy process of everything that you can do, which I get it, love that. For women, I've noticed it is more of a long-term process, and it's actually talking less about business. I think it's connecting on your mutual obstacles, even down to, where'd you get your nails done? I love them. Oh my God, that style. And I think it's just showing like we think in the same way. I'm passionate about the same things you care about. It's just kind of a long-term process of continuing to show up for them and care about the same things in the same way you do with your own girlfriends.
a lot of it comes down to time, effort, energy, communication, just staying loyal and staying truthful to what you say and what you do and making sure you follow through on it, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think authenticity. I mean, I think what we've said is all these women are multifaceted. They have different backgrounds and interests, and so do we. And the good thing is that there's a lot of options, or a lot more options out there now where they can pick their person. And so how I try to show up as myself. And I know the work that I'm able to do. I know the vision that I have. But ultimately, I also want you to feel comfortable that I can deliver that for you. Because if you're signing here and looking over there, then it's not a partnership. So for me, it's, just as much as I'm recruiting, I'm also information gathering and ensure that I can deliver on what your goals are. So I think it's two-sided, where I show up as myself, I know what I'm capable of doing, but also they're amazing too. So if you feel more comfortable with Allison or Rianne, you should go work with them, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, how beautiful is it to be understood? I think in women in particular, and especially during this time right now, that's what we want, you know what I mean? And so we see that even in the young talent to the older talent, they all have stories that we can relate to. I think that was beautifully said by Tracy, because not everybody is relatable to everybody, and not everybody understands where you come from, you know what I mean? But that matters right now, and it matters in particular for women and women athletes who are driving culture and all of it. So they all hit it on the head perfectly. I can't go into it much deeper, but authenticity, time. There's a lot of time invested into these women, but they deserve it. So it makes it all worth it.
It's kind of like pick your fighter almost. Like to Tracy's point, like not everybody's for us and we're not for everybody, but there are enough great options, especially women agents, which I'm definitely partial to. But yeah, there's enough options and players are all different and they're looking for different things, and you just want to find the right match.
I was just going to say that. I mean, Rianne, you kind of alluded to it, and relatability. How much of an advantage do you feel like being a woman, representing a woman client is an advantage for you all?
Huge.
I think it's a big one. I think as a woman, we understand, most of our very, very deep friendships and connections in life are with other women. It's a really, really just special advantage of being a woman personally. And I think we've found a way to tap that into the business side as well. I think when I work with other women, I kind of feel more like myself. I feel a little safer. I feel a little more heard and seen. And it's the same experience for a woman athlete, especially when navigating the sports world as a woman athlete has not always been the easiest thing, or where they've been able to fully be themselves or feel completely safe.
And it goes beyond what they're able to do on the court or finding them the best partnership. It's also just life. Like, I'm a mother, I'm pregnant. When we have clients that are exploring that, we can talk about that very openly. And even if you're not, I think it just, to your point, provides a safer space to be heard and understood. I mean, I think Allison, right? Like what she was able to do, walk away from Nike, sign with the Athleta, right? That at that time was probably very scary for her because no one had really done that. We have that blueprint and how that turned out for her to even show our athletes, like, you can do it too. You don't just have to be an athlete. You can be a mother or whatever you want to be. And we're here to support every single part of that journey.
And they lean in when it's that way too. You know what I mean? Like, because they see it. Like, being pregnant right now is an overwhelming experience sometimes in this business, but one of the biggest things is how are your clients going to handle it, right? My guy clients on the marketing side, they couldn't care less, you know what I mean? But my women, they're like screaming in the phone, they're excited, they're asking for registries, they're asking for how can they be involved? And I think like that's beautiful because they see themselves in you. You know what I mean? They see that experience, they want to be part of it. And like we said, when they see themselves in you, they lean in a little bit. And that's the best way to build that trust and relationship a little bit there, by being your most authentic self with them.
I think too, women are less focused on the transactional piece of it and more focused on the holistic, just how are we going to be our clients' teammates to get them where they need to go ultimately? Because that's what we are. We are their teammates.
Is it safe to say, and someone told me this years ago, that trust is the most important element of a client-agent relationship?
It's hard to pick one. Like, if we're not generating dollars for them either, I mean, if
Trust,
we're not working
tr-
hard.
Trust doesn't mean too much.
They could trust us, and if we're on a beach not responding to our phone, like, we're not going to keep them. So, I don't know. I think it's tough to distill one element of the totality of our representation.
Yeah, business is not coming in. Maybe trust isn't as important. Huh?
But I would say the same about you, Eric. Like, if people didn't trust you, we wouldn't be answering your calls.
True.
Telling you information, right? I would say trust matters more for media than matters for everybody.
Well, I appreciate that one. As we start to wind down a little bit, I just want to get into, because as you all know, the agent business is not all roses, and the relationship should be productive, but it also can, have tension. And so I just want to ask you all, how much do you feel like the job is managing expectations and making sure you're not over-promising on what you can deliver?
I just talked, so someone else go.
That's how I try to lead. I'm not trying to set myself up for failure. I mean, we all are people at the end of the day. I'm not servicing a robot. Like, there's a reality to this business. There's a reality to where we are in this business. So I try to lead with level setting on expectation and educating, because I think with social media and just, people not living and breathing in this world like we do, there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding. So we do our jobs best when we can have those open dialogues. I'm not trying to sell you a dream, but this is what we're trying to achieve. And if we're not getting there, this is how we want to pivot. But listen, I'm not a magician. So there is strategy, and there's all the things that we pride ourselves in, but also we are people, and this is a reality of the landscape, and I'm going to let you know what that is. I hope that helps.
The balancing act.
I love that you said the education side of things. That's one of the most special parts of this, is being able to be true business partners with your women and be like, here's the tools, here's what you should look out for. One of my busiest clients, Lona Mar, she knows everything. She knows how brands are speaking to me. She knows if someone's late on a payment. We go at everything completely together, and you have to remind yourself, they are hiring you as the expert. Like, it is an educational process, but I think it's very, very fun when an athlete is really motivated to know the entire business, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna go at everything together.
As long as they're doing well and things are going well.
Well, yeah,
Because when they
sometimes you
want to
have
know
to
everything,
sugarcoat stuff.
yeah, when they want to know everything and they're not doing what they need to do, that's not the best. But my ethos has always been like under promise and over deliver, basically. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Like, if a client expects more than what you can ultimately deliver them, no matter what they do on the court or on the pitch or whatever they're doing, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, co-signing all of it, but it's also, I don't want to promise anything like we all keep saying, you know what I mean? But sometimes you might not be able to do it. You know what I mean? Like they might have expectations that are just highest in the room, and that might be not be the person for you. You know what I mean? I've definitely come into that, especially as Tracy and I were talking about recruiting younger. As we navigate the NIL space, you know what I mean? The education isn't there like it is for some of these professionals that have already been humbled or understand the business of the WNBA. And so that's definitely something we run into as well, is kind of like the balance beam a little bit of, you know, how young do we get, because we understand mom and dad thinks their baby is going to be the thing. And then also, you know, wanting to be building these relationships with these athletes younger. So yeah, not promising anything, but also, like I said, it has to be a good, trusting, and like time spent relationship, or else those expectations just will never be met, you know?
We should have a whole different panel on signing high school kids, because we just signed our first 2, and it is a different
It's a
beast.
mess, yeah.
And I think just to sum all of that together, I think to your point, it's not just about trust, it's about transparency, it's about education. All of these things are super important in how we service our clients. And so again, if someone changes their mind or they don't want to be here anymore, that's a personal decision. But so long as I've delivered on those things, then I feel like I've done my job well.
And I think finding the line between never promising or over-promising, but also allowing them a free and safe space to manifest what they want to do. And I think a lot of times women athletes have been told that couldn't happen, or you're too much in that realm. And I think I really want to hear all of your biggest goals, and then I can help educate you as to the steps to get there. Back to like a fun Alona example, when I signed her in the summer of 2023, she was kind of sheepish and saying it. She was like, this might be too much, but I mean, I don't know. I'd love to do Sports Illustrated swimsuit one day. And she kind of was like, open one eye and was like, was that too much to say? And I was like, hell yeah, throw it on the board. We're going to do it. Like, that's the vision. And then look, she's on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit. So I think it is finding the line between being realistic with them, but also letting them know they can do whatever the hell they want, and you're going to help them get there. It is a two-way street, but we can do it.
I love that. That's a great example. I know you all don't have a crystal ball, but before we get out of here, I would love a prediction on the landscape as it shifts. So as more dollars come in, investment, marketing dollars in the women's sports space, how do you all feel it's going to impact the agency business? Are we going to see more women-focused divisions, more female agents? Just curious, looking forward.
Like the business of like the agency business? Is
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I started my business 13 years ago. There were no big agencies in the space. Not one big agency was, I mean, Wasserman was in the space, but other than that, everyone thought women's sports was too small, not going to generate enough dollars, not worth our time. You know, why would we spend time on women when they're going to cost the same amount of time, where we can represent this one man and make, you know, bazillions of dollars? Fast forward, every big agency is in the space now, and it's just going to keep increasing. I mean, competition is going to keep increasing, and look, we're all built for this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting up here. That's for sure. And so, competition can keep coming, but we all have our own lanes, and we all have the relationships with clients that we should.
Yeah, I think if people want to continue making a ton of money, they should have more of an investment in women's sports and women agents. It's pretty simple. It's very good business.
And I can only speak on also within my own staff too, and how I'm hiring and moving. I'm hiring more women. I'm being intentional in the backgrounds women are coming with, whether they're former players or just generally understand the experience, so that they can inspire. You know, we're working on keeping women in sports. My goal is, can we continue to reinvest more women in the professional space as well? So this whole thing is women. I mean, why not? You know what I mean? It's just a fun place to be. So that's my biggest thing, is being intentional, not only, okay, how we recruit, but who am I recruiting alongside is a huge part of it.
And I think as these teams, everything in the business of women's sports is growing, right? Everyone is doubling down and capitalizing and all those things. That's the same thing on the agency side, to Faith's point. Like, we all have to scale up. We all have to hire more people. That's just the way the business is going to keep growing.
I mean, they said it. This is how Always Alpha was born. Literally, to do just that, with women at the center, with women at the forefront, trying to reimagine how to make this space better, bigger, and grow the pie.
Faith, Tracy, Allison, Rianne, thank you all for coming through. Appreciate it.